Welcome, everyone, to a Dose of Wisdom Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, David Stein, and today we have the privilege of having on our show Moshe Gross. Moshe is the CEO at Reset Locations, a well-known, respected film location broker in the New York metropolitan area. Moshe's story is fascinating, unique, and not the typical trajectory for someone engaged in real estate. Moshe, thank you again for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Okay, so my first question is, what's the backstory to how you got involved in your specific niche?
Oh, that's in 2 minutes or longer. So I'll
Whatever
get
you want, the short and long version of it.
Okay, so we got I used to work at a property. That property is now called Bellworks. It's a
Right.
2 million square foot building. And when I started there, obviously there was no one in the building. It was just 3 people working over there.
Right.
And one of the things I was tasked with in this property was making things happen over there. The building was completely empty and trying to fill up this massive office building with tenants and convince them that it's a great place. So,
Right.
which included, this building right now. There's office there, there's retail, there's events, there's a lot of things going on over there. But at the time, there was nothing happening in the building.
Right.
And well, so we created events, we created marketing, we did the plans for the building, obviously office leasing, and I got involved in a lot of aspects of retail leasing. And one component was we used to get calls for various shoots. It was more, I'll say more photo shoots or more small films, or there were some commercials, but I saw that there's something, when you have a new place, you could have this filming world is interesting. I was like,
Right.
this is something that gives there's some profit involved, obviously, for the property, but
You saw the
something
potential.
else. There's some potential over here. And what happened is, even though we really didn't have so many films, the way you portray it afterwards, the way you tell the story, is so much bigger than the property itself, which I think we should get more into that as we talk today. But
Right.
there's so much more over there than tangibles of having filming at a property. And that's really what happened. I saw that there's a potential for growing this up a lot bigger. And what was really the turning point was New Jersey at the time. This property is New Jersey. I'm based in New Jersey, and New Jersey had no credits for filming, meaning there's certain tax credits for filming.
Right.
And New Jersey had scaled back in that years before by the Christie administration. And when Governor Murphy came in, he brought those back. And suddenly I saw where things are going. And Baruch Hashem, thank God, they're going in the right direction over here these days.
That's great. So, so you branched out from there, from that
So I
side.
branched out there. I branched out from there, and I opened up my own company. Opened up a company, Reset Locations, banking on my real estate contacts. And
Right.
now at the time, honestly, I didn't know too much about the film industry, but it's more that coming to me because of my real estate background. They know that I'm someone that knows a lot of people in the real estate industry, and I have to
Right.
navigate the two sides. I like to say to real estate people that I'm on your side. I'm looking out for you guys. I'm not the film guy who's that crazy film guy. I'm the real estate guy that's really looking out for your best interest of your property.
That's great. So what are some of the things that you have learned from your experience in this industry?
What have I learned from experience? So, first of all, there's different ways of pricing on a property. I've learned that that you could price things that they may come to you. I'll give you an example. They come to you with a budget, couple $1,000 for a space.
Right.
I've learned how to price those things differently, saying, for example, you're not filming just in one space, you're filming in multiple spaces in this building. You're looking at as 3 locations. We learned in the process of how to show them that in this building, in this property, you may not be using it just as one location. A film is looking to film, again, my business is when they go out and film, let's just backtrack a drop, I'm sorry, is
Yeah.
when they go out to film, they film in a studio and then they'll go out on location. And that's where
Right.
I'm fitting that need. So they go on location, then they approach us with different needs of what they're looking for on that location. But they really need 5, 6 different locations. So you want them to know that they could come to one property and be able to fill all those 5 spaces. So they may think it's costing them more of a filming, but in a sense, they're actually saving money on filming. The property owner would have given them the space for one price because it's, oh, come film my building. But I know from my experience in the industry, I can actually get them a couple of different prices, quote unquote, and get them in that space for a nicer rate. That's one example,
Right.
from what I've learned. Try to think what else happened. There's a lot of other things I've learned along the way. It's
Okay.
a lot of it is navigating the two sides. We've had a story recently where a film shut down a parking lot at an office building for a week and a half. Now, during COVID, when they did something like that, it wasn't a big deal. The parking lot was empty. Now, actually, people are coming back to work. Surprising, but people are coming back to work at least 3 days a week, and you
Right.
can't just shut down the parking lot as much. But the film, in the film industry, like, we got used to that. They got used to certain things. So you have to be able to convince them that it's not a closed building anymore. It's not closed property. There's things going on over here. So it's
Right.
navigating the two sides of the film people and the real estate people. Well,
Right.
you're a real estate manager or owner. You want to make your tenants happy. You want to make them excited. So there's those two sides of
You've
what's going
gained
on in the property.
understanding of what the needs of each side are, and you understand how to match that with the two
I
sides.
understand. I'm always learning. Always learning.
Okay. Have you ever had any horror stories that you experienced while securing a site for a film, and how do you turn things around?
So a horror story. One major horror story comes to mind. It wasn't with the horror film, though we've toured plenty of horror films around. And
Right.
we showed them some cool spaces. Hopefully we'll sign some up soon.
Right.
And actually we're dealing with a horror film right now. Actually, we're having filming. I can't give you exact detail, but we're dealing with a horror film right now. And the horror story was, there was this vacant property. We were going to have filming at their property, and we had one tour, second tour. The way it works is,
Right.
just for all you out there, is that you first come. There's let's call it the real estate agent that's representing the film guys, and then there's myself who's repping the property. So I'm sort of the owner's rep. They're sort of the tenant rep. Let's call it.
Right.
And they come to look at the property, and they say, okay. They take some pictures of the property and they bring that back to their team. And then their team comes down a second time with the director. And then they come down a third time with the art director. And then they're like, okay, now we're really going here. We start negotiating contracts.
Right.
And then they come for a tech scout. Tech scout means like, this is literally 2 weeks before filming, a week or two before filming. And they come with all the different trades, the head of the camera department, the art department, the lighting, and the stunt director, all these different departments, and they try to see how can they do the shots, what they need to bring for day of filming.
Right.
They need more power, they need more parking, they're going to figure everything out. And we change this wall, change that wall. And it's the day before this tech scout, and this massive building was a massive company. And the company's finalizing the contract, and then they send me an email, this from the owners. I'm sorry, Moshe, we decided we're not doing filming at our property anymore.
Oh no.
Now, you have to understand something. It's not just bad. It's bad for me as well for the future, because they come to me because the place, they call it cleared. We could film already over here. It's not like they didn't agree. We toured the property 3-4 times. They were like, okay, you're coming here. So, oh, good. You negotiated rates. It's like a much later point, and then started to back out the last minute. That was a pretty bad one. But what happened was, during that process, I created a very good relationship with this film crew, and I'd love to say that it was a happy ending, and that I got them 5 locations instead of 1, which almost happened. We got close to because of not having that building. I almost had them 5 different locations, you know.
Right.
But they ended up filming with me at another location. We found up some other options, and you know, they happens to be they took it in stride. But there
Hmm.
was another one that actually backed out. Also, another issue, just property, just you know, we're talking to real estate people.
Right.
Things have to go on a property. There was a property in the middle of a sale, and the property was owned by a nonprofit. And although we toured the property, I would say 10 to 15 times, and they sent employees to go to their closed property. At the last moment, this is literally filming was a couple days away, and this was the main location for this film. It wasn't just like the previous story where it's one of the locations. This was
That
the
was it.
main location for the film. That was it. They drew up plans around the whole place, and the ownership turned to me. And they sent a letter from the lawyer. You know, we're not doing this. I'm like, what
Oh,
do you?
no.
No, this is now my business is like down the drain. You know, okay, my
Right.
name is gonna get out there. It's gonna ruin my entire name. You know,
Right.
but as we know, we don't control everything. And the following
Right.
day, it was in the papers that the film got shut down, not for myself. I think it was that same day. The film got shut down for a different reason. The actress actually backed out, the main actress, and they shut down. They were suing her, and there was a whole story all in the news. But it was the same exact day. So what I would have looked at that same time, I would have said I would have been so upset. I just lost at a big deal because that actress. But at the same
Yeah.
moment, actually, that saved me. It saved
Right.
my whole company because it would have like really ruined my name in the industry.
That's incredible. Okay, so thank you again for coming on the show, and hopefully we could have you again sometime.
Yeah, of course. Listen, we could talk about there'll be more films to talk about. Maybe it'll be a
I'm
film
sure.
about the podcast. You know, you never know.
Yes, that will be the sequel. Great.
Okay.
Very good. Have a good day.